Cloud is my friend. Okay. Welcome to Breaking the Standard, where we are closing the communication and knowledge gap for small businesses and GovCon. I'm Aubrey Gainfort, and today we have very special guest with us, Meg O'Hara. Meg, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much.
So, if you could just share with our listeners who you are and what you do, that would be great.
Sure. So, as you said, I am Meg O'Hara, and I am the Director of Engagement for GovMates. And that's a really fun term because when you're a small business, you get to be whoever you want to be. And for me, that encompasses a lot of different things for the GovMates team. So, I am in charge of all of the marketing that goes out. So, if it's a blog, an email, a podcast, a social media post, or anything of that nature, it probably went through my hands first before it gets out, which means that I get to do a lot of creating, but it also means that it's all my fault. So
Mm.
making sure that, we're really strict and cohesive and direct in what our brand is kind of my job, which is really nice.
Awesome. And I actually got to be on the upcoming season of the show, so stay tuned for that. But today we're going to be talking about GovMates and how it's beneficial to both large and small businesses. So, first and foremost, what is GovMates?
That's a great question. So, GovMates is a technology scouting platform. We were founded by Stephanie and Katie, who are co-founders, back in 2016, and we were kind of the answer to an industry problem. So they were doing a lot of work with, I want to say it was a veterans group, and we're noticing that there was a really big disconnect between small businesses in the industry and getting in front of systems integrators or primes or the government itself who needed to find small businesses to kind of bridge the gap there. So GovMates was created as a place for those small businesses to kind of have an opportunity to meet with those other businesses and potentially have contract conversations. And one of our favorite things is to see that there's an NDA that's been signed between two of our partners to see what happens and where that goes. So it was really an opportunity for the businesses to come together and do more work without the burden of the small businesses having to go out and seek that. And the same thing for, the larger businesses, the government, there's a place that they can come figure out who it is that they need to talk to and take out some of that elbow grease work.
Yeah, I'm just curious. So I know you guys do events all over the place. So if basically it's kind of like, speed dating in a way. So you basically like look at everybody's profiles from both sides, and then do you ask them like specifically what they're looking for in terms of like, their like the area of expertise or what type of services they're doing, and then you narrow it down like that. Like, could you walk through maybe potentially the process, like if I were coming to, be matched with another business?
GovMates matchmaking is a little bit different than the things that you see in the industry because in some places it is a call time and they say, hey, you can come in, you sign up, first come, first served, whoever you get to meet with is who you get to meet with, which is cool, especially if you've got a really great fast internet connection. You can have as many meetings as you want, but it doesn't always provide the I think most valuable matches or meetings that could happen based upon what both sides need. So for us, if we were to run a matchmaking event, we would actually gather, we call them our bigs, our buyers. And that's our system integrators, our primes. Usually it's a DoD focused, our government agencies. And we go to them and we say, hey, do you have a need? Who are you looking for? What kinds of solutions are you seeking? What are your challenges? And we ask them for a list of requirements. We gather those requirements, we kind of pull them together. On the other side, we're also asking our small businesses, hey, do you have time, a 2 hour chunk that you can come to this event and join us and potentially meet with, those who have contract dollars to spend. And after we've collected all that information, we put it into our system and we let the system work its magic, and it matches the buyer requirement with the seller capabilities. So our platform is comprised of profiles that our GovMates members create, which is basically their capability statement in supercharge mode. So they can put everything in there. They can put their codes in. They can put their past, a little bit of their past performance, their certifications. It can all go in there so that when somebody from the buyer side comes in and says, hey, I need Army past performance with, a focus on AI, and they need to be 8A certified or whatever, we can run a specific search for that and make that match so that when it comes time for the event itself, the 12 to 15 minute meeting, they have an opportunity to sit down, talk about something that's less, hey, this is who we are, and more, hey, this is how I can help you. That
Hmm.
really pushes that meeting forward to then, hey, we can have another, let's meet for lunch, or let's have a call with a bigger team, or this is a solution that we really need. Let's move forward. It takes a little bit of that guesswork out about the introduction and makes it a little bit more valuable for both sides.
I love that you said you look at buyer requirements and then the seller capability, because I feel like that takes out so much of the headache of, the mismatches that potentially could happen, or, some of the prime sub, horror stories that people have heard of where they just weren't a good match, and then,
Right.
they had to separate and go find someone else. So I guess I know you guys have been around for a little while, and that's awesome. So like, what have you seen in terms of, especially even from when like GovMate started to now, in terms of involvement around like, you know, smalls and primes getting paired, and like the success rate, and like, do they come back again and stay together? Like, because I see you guys popping up all over the place. So I'm just really curious. I haven't been to an event yet. I really want to come like be a fly on the wall in the corner and just watch. But, what have you seen like as this process has evolved?
Yeah. So we see a lot of things. We have relationships, of course, with a lot of our buyers who do continually come back to us. I mean, if you've got a big like a Raytheon or a Leidos or somebody like that who has several different facets of business, we're going to get to meet several of their individuals, their capture individuals who are looking for different things. So if we're doing, say matchmaking at AUSA, it's going to be different than our matchmaking at, oh, I don't know, for NASA. So they're going to need different things, though it may be the same overall overarching company. They're going to come back to us with different things because we're very careful about the way that we handle those buyers. We're not just, blasting their contact information out to everybody.
Hmm.
We're really, really careful about that because we want them to find success and to continue to come back to us. We also have a lot of our smalls who are constant participants in our matchmaking events. When they, we say, hey, we're going to have this event, and they're like, great, tell me the next three so I can put them all on my calendar because I'm going to come. Because for them, it's free to participate. It's
Mm.
free for our buyers to participate. It's free for our sellers to participate, unless the specific conference has a cost or something. We don't typically charge anything for matchmaking, a matchmaking event.
Okay.
It's also free to be part of GovMates in general. So if somebody were to say, hey, I'm a government contractor, I want to get, take a look at what this is, you just sign up. It's like 15 minutes online, and there's no, like, we don't take credit cards. I mean, it would be cool, but we have no need to because it's a free service. I'm like, sure, you want to
Hey,
hand me your credit
maybe
card
maybe
number?
there's a plug, for an upgrade.
Right,
I
right.
started adding a credit card number.
But no, we don't collect any of that information. So it's
Right.
literally just your capability statement that goes in there so that we can make this really beneficial for you. But for, I mean, over the past, we used to do smaller events, right? And now we're doing things like Soft Week, which is one of our largest matchmaking events. And it's hundreds of meetings over the course of 2 to 4 hours. Our typical matchmaking event is like 2 hours long, sometimes
Mhm.
three. Our longest has been four. And I will tell you that is a very jam-packed day if you're thinking, you know, 13 to 15 tables and 15 minutes a piece for 4 hours. I mean, math's not my subject, but that's
That's a
that's
lot
a
of
high number.
conversations. That's a lot of interactions. But
It is.
I do love the fact though that this exists. I mean, I know I'm primarily in always, targeting and supporting the small businesses, but how wonderful for primes that maybe don't know where to go, or they worked with one company, it was okay, but they want to try and find something else, and like being able to come and have all of that information already like vetted and already knowing what you're coming in for. So, but looking at it from the small business side, and I want to make sure I heard you correctly. So it doesn't cost anything to be a part of this.
Correct.
And small businesses just have to be able to give you or fill out in like online what their capabilities are, what their services are, what they offer. And then you would basically look at where they would basically best match up.
Correct. So if we have an event and they're participating, we make sure that we take a look at what they're doing. And though the platform that we have does go through and make the matches, which makes it really nice because then it's a little bit more agnostic for us. So we're not
Mm,
putting any bias. It's an unbiased process. So
hmm.
it's based upon basically what is in your profile. So the more quality information you're adding into your profile, the better matches you're going to have. Now, if you've copy and pasted from like a recent, who's who or GovCon bingo list, you're probably not going to have the best matches because it's just going to match you based upon what you've put in that profile. So we do regularly encourage our ecosystem. We've got over 5,500 members in our platform right now. And so
Wow.
we do encourage them to, log in regularly and like update if they've got a new service line or they've had new work or they've won new things or they added new vehicles or whatever it might be. We do encourage them to add those things so that when they do come to their next matchmaking, that information is already there.
And making sure I heard you correctly again. So their information doesn't get pulled or matched in the system unless they're actually coming to an event.
Yep,
So,
unless that's a great question because side note, let's say the FAA comes to us and says, "Hey, I have an opportunity here, and I need to see," and they list out whatever their requirements are. We can run a search for them and say, "Hey, here are the top 10 businesses that fit for you. Who would you like to meet?" And then when they tell us, we'll say, great, we reach out and we make the connection over email and then we step out. We don't take a finder's fee. We don't take any of that kind of stuff because there's nothing in it for us there. We want the small businesses to be able to have the full breadth of what they have accomplished and what they have done. We're just there to be the intermediary.
I love that. So if you're listening to this, go sign up today for GovMates, regardless of what your business size is, because it's a free resource and you can go to a conference or an event and basically see, you might get paired with one, you might get paired with five. You never know. But that way you'll be able to see. And I think it'd be really interesting for a company that's, starting out versus that's been in the industry for a little while to see where their capabilities fall, and then they can like hone their capabilities. Like, how well was this received? Is this something that a ton of people are looking for, or is this something that really didn't match with anybody? And like, what do I need to tweak to be
Yeah.
able to be more marketable,
Is it really niched or whatever? One of the things, actually, a couple of the things that I love is that an in-person networking event, because we do both virtual matchmaking and in-person matchmaking. One of the things about an in-person matchmaking is that there's the opportunity if somebody no-shows for somebody else to snag an extra meeting. Like if those capabilities match and somebody no-showed or they're late or they just didn't show up, like that's a buyer without somebody in front of them. And we're happy to stick somebody else who matches in there. So like we reward the hustle every time.
I love that. And so, I mean, in a lot of companies in this industry, you have to hustle because you can't put all of your eggs in one basket. So this is a great resource. Again, it's free, people. Not that many things in GovCon are free. So you can go sign up, go find an event, go and then be matched up and just meet other people in your potential network. So I guess my last question for you, and I ask this to all of my guests, is what advice would you offer to small businesses that want to work in GovCon?
That is, I have to think about that because there's so many pieces of advice that I have dependent upon their size.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, or at least their positioning in the GovCon lifecycle.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing is that it's not a if you build it they will come sort of situation.
Mm-hmm.
So we often think that our ideas are really great, and they are. We have really great business ideas, we have opportunities to solve challenges, we have really innovative solutions to problems that we see that exist. Just because you've created the solution doesn't mean that it's automatically going to be found, especially when we're working in the government space. You have to do the marketing and the relationship building, and you have to attend the networking events, and you have to print out your business cards and share them, and you have to be okay with being part of the community. It's hard to be a solo endeavor in a space that really focuses a lot of its energy on teaming.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which is so prominent, especially right now with everything going on in
Yeah.
the legal system. But I don't think you could have said it any better because it's not a one and done thing. You have to constantly be working at it and out there, meeting people because I live in the DMV area. You do too. It's who do you know? What connection can I make? And being able to can you connect me to so and so, and being able to keep going. So I don't think that could have been said any better. Actually, lied. I have one more question for you.
Perfect.
If our listeners want to get in touch with you, what would be the best way to do that?
Oh, sure. So the GovMates team, myself included, are very active on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's ever anything that somebody needs, or they have a question about, or they're seeking a resource, or they just want to know what the GovMates team is up to, it's on LinkedIn. So myself, I'm just Meg O'Hara over there. And then the GovMates is just, straight up GovMates, or govmates.com for the website, are all places that you will find the entire team and all of our many shenanigans.
So I'm going to link Meg's information in this episode, but she's on LinkedIn all the time. So go look for her and look for the other members of the team. They are amazing. And the podcast is coming back in a couple of weeks. So please go back and make sure to listen to that because they have all kinds of really interesting guests on there. And if you have any questions or topics or anything you want to hear me talk about on the show, please send them to breakingthestandard@gmail.com. And until next time, bye.